Who knows? But the story gets deeper. This reporter actually went to bin Laden's compound after the supposed raid and death of bin Laden and took a brick out of the wall and sent it to the 9/11 Museum. Wow. He also provided coverage in the aftermath, including an exclusive interview with Shakil Afridi, the doctor who helped U.S. agents verify bin Laden's presence and who remains in prison in Pakistan to this day. Now, this relates back to an article from The Guardian. CIA organized fake vaccination drive to get Osama bin Laden family's DNA. And it talks about how they set up with several doctors and nurses in the area ways they did this fake vaccination program. They started it off in a poor area, and then they moved it around. They actually sent a nurse into the compound. There was a nurse known as Bakto, and she gained entry into the compound to administer vaccines. According to several sources, the doctor who waited outside told her to take the handbag that was fitted with an electronic device. It is not clear what the device was or whether she left it behind. It is also not known if the CIA managed to obtain any bin Laden DNA, although one source suggested the operation did not succeed. And then we even have, here's a giant bit of articles and stuff that Alex and I covered back when the Navy SEAL came out and said, I shot bin Laden. I think his name was Rob. I forget the last name. But you can check out that video right there, Navy SEALs ensnared in bin Laden death hoax. And that we just, less than a month ago, well, a little more than a month ago now, we put that out there, and we just covered all the deaths associated and all the unanswered questions, the fake videos, the fake burial at sea, everything. And now we have somebody else connected to this who ends up dying from a suicide. And they say it's an apparent suicide. There's going to be little to nothing said about this guy after this. And now that he wasn't connected to Fox as of November 30th, Fox, put out the news, oh, we're sorry, he's dead. But then you're going to see nothing about this anymore. So did this guy have information? Is that why, if he did commit suicide, did he learn that bin Laden wasn't really killed? Was he already dead? Or was he silenced because he had information that the CIA didn't want coming out? That's a lot of questions that will never get answered because they died with this guy out in his land out in, I believe he was in Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah, Jefferson
and
County,
he was a
Colorado.
beloved and respected journalist who was probably doing a thorough job. And that's one of the things, you have to respect that he committed suicide. He had these undisclosed health issues. Don't ask any questions. How dare you come up with these conspiracy
You're not going to hear
theories.
anything more about this guy. I predict
Nothing more.
The news has gone out there. The news cycle is going to flood it over this weekend. It'll die over the weekend, and then we'll never hear about this guy ever again. 2 years later, something will come out saying, well, we don't know if he really committed suicide. We never found a weapon or something like that. Who knows what's going to happen? But this guy probably had some answers to go along with all the information that we've covered just by looking at different articles. And, the interviews we had with Steve Pachinik back in 2002 stating that bin Laden was already dead. It's just another body. The bin Laden body count continues to grow to this day. And I don't think we'll ever learn the truth. And just like Sandy Hook, I don't think we're ever going to learn what really happened there. They've sealed all the records to this. If anybody puts them out there without the proper authorities' permission, they could face up to 5 years in jail. So I don't think you're going to see any of this stuff come to light, which is a shame. And so we've got two great interviews coming up after the break.
Yeah, so I mean, same thing with all those mysterious banker suicides. What is it now, 36th, 37th for the year. So always these things where there is a larger conspiracy, but you're not allowed to talk about it. But that's not what we do here. We do continue to get to the bottom of things, and we really don't care about someone wants to call us a truther. Oh my goodness, how dare we want the truth? Well, stick around because we do have some epic Sandy Hook coverage coming up for you. Rob Dew will be in studio for a marathon interview, and that is coming up right after this.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive INFOWARS Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of two organic proprietary forms of vitamin B12. bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12, Secret 12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift and is tailor-made to boost your New Year's resolutions. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. 2015 is almost here, and with it comes those New Year's resolutions to finally transform your body the way you want it. There's a reason over 88% of New Year's resolutions fail. Make this year different by equipping yourself with Oxy Powder, the next level in cleansing the body naturally. Using super oxygenation, Oxy Powder, available through InfoWarsLife.com, gently cleanses the body while you sleep with easy capsules. Tens of thousands of individuals have used Oxy Powder to cleanse their bodies and aid in their transformations. Even InfoWars Nightly News Director Rob Dew has been using Oxy Powder with incredible success.
Took it that first day, then I took it for 6 more days after that. 12 pounds melted off in about a week. I'd say a week, 7 days.
2015 can be different. Diet and exercise are important, but a lot of us have already tried that. Oxy Powder flushes it out. Secure your Oxy Powder at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm your host, Rob Dew. Let's get right to it. If you type in Sandy Hook false flag into a YouTube search engine, you will find countless, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of videos that have been posted, created by independent researchers out there. I mean, the information on Sandy Hook is voluminous, to say the least. And so it's I think it's kind of odd that recently some documentary filmmakers put up their documentary. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and it has been hit by numerous copyright claims out there by certain groups that just don't seem to want this information to get out. Well, we're about to have 2 of the filmmakers on there of this. It was a large group project, and they go by the name Independent Media Solidarity, and we'll tell you where you can find more information on them in a second. But it just goes to show you that anytime information gets out there and tries to be censored, it's just going to make it more valuable and more people are going to want to see it. Alex tells the story all the time how a lot of Army guys come up to him and they said, hey, our officers are telling us not to listen to your show, and it makes us want to listen to your show. So this always has a backfiring effect. I'm joined now by 2 members of Independent Media Solidarity. That's Tyranny News Network and QK Ultra. They have elected to go by their YouTube handles and remain anonymous because of the nature of the information that they have been sharing. And they're also going to describe some of the attacks that they've been undergoing as a result of putting out the documentary, We Need to Talk About Sandy Hook, which I have watched, and it's mind-blowing, all the points and questions that they bring out in this. Guys, are you there, and can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
All right, that was Tyranny News Network. And we have their YouTube channels up there, so you can go by and visit their YouTube channels. But Tyranny, let's start with you real quick. What was your reasoning for putting this group together, or getting this group going and working on this documentary?
Well, first, I want to say thank you, Rob, and to Alex Jones and the rest of your crew for allowing us to come on and share some of our information and to just kind of bring awareness to our project and our documentary, which we really, I guess, the primary reason we're on is to hope everyone gets the chance to watch that. But there's a behind the story too, and that is yes, exactly, that how did this come about? And I would say that the person most responsible for it isn't with us here today. He goes by Mr. Stosh 314 on YouTube. That's his handle. He is currently taking a well-earned vacation after months of hard work on this, and has essentially passed the baton to us to try to keep things moving until his return. But he was really the one who had the idea, and we had a research group in place. There were probably somewhere like upwards of 60 individuals who were researchers and who had done videos on this topic of Sandy Hook previously. It was a private group, and we decided at some point in time after listening to his idea that we could do this. And so the concept was that individuals would produce a segment on a particular topic that was, that they particularly were interested in, and nothing would be allowed if it was going to be objectionable to any others in the group. And in the end, we basically wound up with 10 individuals submitting material for the final product, and then it was up to Mr. Stosh and myself to put a beginning and an end, and to kind of fit this stuff together and determine the sequence. And it was really fate that it came together the way it did. And so that's the backstory. And it was 9 months in development too, by the way.
And this is a 2.5-hour documentary. If you haven't seen it, it has been pulled off YouTube several times. We have a link on the article video. We need to talk about Sandy Hook. We put a new link up today that has happened. QK, what was your role in this? And was there any new information that you found in making this, or had you already figured a lot of this stuff out? What was your, I guess, epiphany moment?
Well, I joined the project pretty early on, and I had a bunch of ideas that I wanted to present, but I kind of narrowed it down to the one thing that I did add a segment about. And yeah, there's a lot of great researchers involved with this project, including some people who didn't contribute segments, who just did support work, like a guy named Brian.
Yeah, I was just amazed at the amount of information that you guys have put together so concisely. And, you know, for 2 hours and 45 minutes, it didn't feel like that. And it's being an event that recently happened. We're approaching the 2-year anniversary right now. I guess if you guys had like a minute each to explain what your biggest red flags are in this event, what would they be? Go ahead and first, Tyranny.
Boy, that's a really tough one. I think that it's very hard for me to pinpoint. I've had that question before put to me, and I've said, well, let me think on that. And I've thought about it. And it's really hard to say. I think really it's all, everything about the whole thing is suspicious. We can point to well, one of the things that we have to look at is, and this is kind of a real sensitive area, but it's really a touchy area because it's kind of speculative, but it's so overwhelming when you see the families, the supposed victims' parents and so forth, and their behavior. And I don't know anybody personally who would react and to act as they did immediately after this supposed tragedy. So there's that. And that's a huge thing. And I think a lot of people kind of saw that there was something weird about this when they first saw, for instance, the one parent, Robbie Parker, doing his interview and kind of appeared to be getting into character to be the, the grief-stricken father, but was smiling and cohorting with the people before he got up to the mic. I'm not sure if that's really, we try to avoid the speculation stuff, and so that's why this is a different area for me. But that's what I think would be what most people think is just impossible to imagine.
Well, and I'll say this, when that incident happened and we saw the live feed coming off CNN, we saw Robbie Parker, we actually rewound it back on our DVR and watched it again here at the office. And we put that on the air pretty immediately, just saying, this looks odd. We're not saying anything because you don't know how you're going to react in a situation. I have children. If one of them, if something like this ever happened to them, I can tell you this, I'm not going to go out and talk to the media. I'm certainly not going to talk to CNN. I'm going to be as far away from all that as possible, trying to not go insane at that moment. But just the smiling, the demeanor. I got my degree in theater. I've seen people get into character, and that, to me, looks like he's getting into character. But QK, what do you have to say about your biggest, I guess, smoking guns or red flags?
Well, I'll add this about Robbie Parker, and if you examine his statement that he made there, it's very peculiar. He even sends his prayers out to the shooter right there, which, if he was grief-stricken one day later, that's awfully big of him. But I'd say that the thing that got me was the misidentification of the shooter on the first day as being Ryan Lanza. I mean, that was a big red flag right there because it's an impossible story of Adam supposedly having Ryan's ID on him, and those two supposedly hadn't seen each other in years.
In 2 years, yeah. And in fact, Ryan says that, and then apparently we haven't seen Ryan Lanza in a while. And
No,
go ahead.
He's made a couple of small appearances. He made an appearance at Nancy's memorial, May 1st, 2013. But outside of that, he's not to be seen.
Yeah, very, very peculiar indeed. You guys cover some interesting house sales that go on for $1 or $0. And then recently it just came out in the news that the Lanza house was sold to the town of Newtown for $1 to turn it into a park or something like that. They're going to tear down the house. But nobody ever talks about the guy living next door to the Lanza household. Why don't you guys go into that? That was peculiar. You guys show a bunch of footage of a lot of police activity around the neighbor's house, but nothing going on at the Lanza household.
That's right. And that was a segment that I actually did, Rob.